There we go. All right, so we're live on YouTube as well. Hi everyone on YouTube. As I see Sobham's there, Beach is there, Pyro, Godless, Heathen, Casey Atheist, Sonko, Halima. I think you know Halima, Leon. People on Facebook, write some comments so I can see you're there as well. By the way, so we're going to cover the latest news on religion, atheism, secularism, politics. Oh, John, you're both on YouTube and on Facebook. All right, good. So, Leon, Ali couldn't make it today, but we have Leon. Was kind enough to take her place today, so thank you so much, Leon, for doing that. Can you introduce yourself to everybody before we get started? Do it fast, though.
Okay, so sure. Hello, everybody. So I'm Leon Korteweg from the Netherlands. I work for several organizations, including the Dutch Freethink Association, De Vrije Gedachte, Gorilla Skepticism on Wikipedia, which is an important project to make Wikipedia more reliable, and the European Council for Skeptical Organizations, which focus on consumer protection. So, very pleased to do Atheist Republic News.
Yeah, by the way, the first one was what? Dutch Freethinkers?
Yes, Dutch Freethink Association. It's an atheistic, humanistic association.
Oh, wow, that's great. I see Chris and Mark, also on Facebook as well. Okay, cool. All right, let's get to the news. What's the first news?
So there's a Kuwaiti academic who claims that semen-eating anal worms cause homosexuality. So this is a real thing. It's been translated by Memory, so Middle Eastern Media Research Institute. And it's Dr. Mariam Al-Sohel, who claims to have qualifications in sex management. And she appeared on a Kuwaiti channel, Scope TV, to sell suppositories that she claims kills worm, making men gay. And she said that homosexuality persists because of anal worms that feed on semen. The academic adds that, by the way, this is all science, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. Of course it's not. It's prophetic medicine. It's all in the books. So, at first I couldn't make sense of this very odd story.
Right.
What basically seems to be going on is that this is a quack who has been given airtime on television.
Right.
So we need to separate fact from fiction over here. So to be clear, anal worms is a real thing. So
but
the technical term is
not with the pure semen diet.
no.
and also not worms that could do brainwash you and make you become gay so that you start feeding them. This is some oh my god. But go on, sorry I interrupted you, go on.
Yeah. So anal worms, or better known as pinworm infection or enterobiasis, is a real thing where these parasitic worms, they get into your bowels, and it may feed on you, and that may cause some itching. And in primitive times, this has been associated, and apparently also by Muhammad.
Yeah. We all know. There are worms like that, but this is something completely different.
Yes, because the claim is made that this is what causes homosexuality, because you need to have somehow you feel the urge to have anal sex when this worm is trying to feed itself, and so you need to supply it with semen, apparently. And this doctor claims
doctor, really? Like, is she an actual doctor? Like, which university? Like, this university needs to be investigated. Like, which university did she get? Like, what is she a doctor of? And she says this is science, and then she says this is what, prophetic medicine? But what the fuck is that? Like prophets?
Yeah, so it probably refers to Muhammad, claiming that he was a prophet. Of course, we've had weirder medicine from Muhammad before. So, like, there's a hadith that says you should drink camel urine.
Yeah.
For some reason.
There is actually, like, some people think that that's made up. It's actually in here. This is Hadith Bukhari. It's in here. Like, camel urine is actually prescribed as medicine. So wait, but like, when she says she's a doctor, like, did she go to an Islamic school? Is that why? Like, I'm actually more concerned about anyone giving somebody a degree that she goes and claims that she's an academic and she has degrees in prophetic medicine. That's actually pretty scary. So I mean, like, I want to know more about the university that gives degrees out like this. Where is this university? This needs to be investigated. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, so the Pink News that told this story doesn't say which university she's from, but she claims to have qualifications in sex management. So not a biologist,
Right.
but a sexologist apparently. So I don't think she has really gone into the science of this the supposed semen-eating anal worm.
Paul is saying on Facebook, I don't like to see animals starve, so I think everybody should have anal sex and feed the worm.
So
Yeah, by the way,
but
go on, sorry.
yeah. Yeah, so another thing that was noted that she claims to have a medicine to cure this illness, to kill these anal worms, and supposedly it also works for lesbians, but presumably they don't have anal sex. So how does that work? She doesn't say.
Soraya is saying in India here many Hindus believe cow urine cures cancer. Well, we have similar stories later today, so stay tuned. But
It's just quackery. This is not science-based medicine.
But I to me, it's very, like, I watched a clip on YouTube of her saying this. This is like a pretty legit TV channel, and they're saying it with a straight face, and everybody is taking her seriously, and it all looks very professional. And people, like, I can't believe, like, she's saying that, and people are like, wow, that's very interesting. Tell us more, doctor. Like, and she's like, what is your degree? Like, prophetic medicine. Like they call her an academic, and this is so scary that it's not. People look at her and she's saying this. People are like, okay, well, this woman is obviously insane. But the problem is bigger than that. The problem is that she says this, and there's an audience for it, and there's a TV channel that takes it seriously, and there's probably a huge audience, and they're like looking at this, like, wow, amazing, let's go. Like, this is serious. Like, they take this seriously. It's not just her. Like, she wouldn't be on TV if people weren't taking this shit seriously.
Yes. Now, it's also possible that TV channels just want people to watch the show, so they bring on a controversial figure. But it happens a lot that quacks make it to mainstream media.
Yeah, like Dr. Oz.
Yes, I was thinking of mentioning Dr. Oz. Exactly. It's a very good example of someone who makes it to the big media, even though he doesn't have the proper qualifications, and he's peddling a lot of dangerous quackery, actually lethal quackery. And so, yeah.
Another thing, she says prophetic medicine, and she says that, like, this is obvious, this is prophetic medicine. I don't know where she got that from, right? Because I've studied the Hadith and stuff. I don't know, they didn't mention anything about semen-eating worms that managed to brainwash you to have more gay sex. I mean, obviously, first of all, it's not like, when gay people want to have gay sex, it's not just the physical part of it that they enjoy, right? Like, they're also attracted to the same sex, right? So it's not like they just want something up their butt. It's this worm is pretty fucking advanced. If it also manages to alter your mind in a way to actually for you to find the same sex attractive. Another thing is, I don't understand how this works with lesbians. So what is it like? I don't think she even thought about. She thought this, but okay. So there's no hadith in Islam that supports this. But if you want to talk about prophetic medicine, like, we're talking about a source. Like, if you read the hadith in Islam, there's also a hadith that says that if you are drinking like water and a fly falls into, look this up, people. I'm not making this shit up, okay? This is prophetic medicine. This is real prophetic medicine, okay? If a fly drops into your drink, before drinking your water, dip the fly fully inside your water before you drink it, okay? Again, I'm not making this up. Look this up. And the reason, this is Hadith Bukhari. This is one of the most authentic sources of Hadith when it comes to Islamic sources, right? And the reason for this is every fly, the two wings of every fly has, one of its wings has a poison in it, and the other wing of the fly has the cure to that poison. So if a fly jumps into falls into your drink, you have to dip it all in because you don't know which wing. Maybe only the poison wing touched the water. So before drinking it, you have to dip it fully in to make sure you also got the medicine for that poison before you drink that water. This is authentic Islamic hadith. Go look it up. I'm not making this shit up. Let me read this, and this is what this woman considers a source. By the way, I don't know if this woman was anywhere even remotely close to the scientific community. She would know that if she ever had discovered a worm that could brainwash people's minds like that, she would be getting like a Nobel Prize or something in medicine, like a worm that could actually alter a human brain like that for them to become gay. Like this, she would be the most famous biologist in the fucking world by now if she had discovered something like that. Jesus Christ. Yeah, go on.
But by the way, one point I would like to make is that this is another confusion here, that it essentializes homosexuality to the act of having anal sex, even though anal sex is not exclusive to homosexual couples or homosexual men, and it's not the only thing they do. And some people, some gay men, just are not into anal sex at all. They do different things, manual or oral sex. There's many things, and it's not like this woman is what you definitely do if you're gay.
Yeah.
And there's also heterosexual couples who practice anal sex. So this is another one of those primitive assumptions about homosexuality that are just wrong.
Yeah. So forget even before we get into brainwashing semen-eating worms, her assumptions about the gay people is already so off. Jared is saying sounds like a B-grade horror porno. Wait, actually, somebody should make that a movie. Semen-eating, brainwashing worms. Muska is saying Mike Pence must have told this woman that these are real facts. I don't think even Americans homophobes come this close to being this insane. I understand that we have homophobia everywhere, but this is a whole new level. Somebody else is saying you got the wrong interpretation. Fly actually means fairies. Those wings contain blessings and curse. I think that's a joke. But let's go to the so Robert Eric West is saying Kuwaiti academic. Now that's an oxymoron. I don't agree with that.
No, that's not true.
No, I'm pretty sure Kuwait has real academics.
So for example,
this woman does not represent real academics in Kuwait. But go on.
Yeah, so there was other memory video. They actually have lots of interesting videos. There's a very good Kuwaiti secularist called Nasser Dashti. I would recommend them to you all. He makes very good points about how every country should impose secularism and completely separate religion from the state. He claims to be a Muslim himself, but he's very secular in his thinking. It's very interesting.
Right. Zeb is saying semen-eating anal worms would be a great death metal band name. Maria is saying never in a million years would I have ever imagined those words would be put together into a sentence. Ron Someone is saying, why is anyone surprised by this? It's common knowledge. I actually raised a semen-eating anal worm to adulthood. He became he became a faithful and a reliable companion until he went missing at a Republican fundraiser. I'm sure he's still out there somewhere, gargling. Wait, what is that? Gargoyling? I don't know this word. Gargoyling on prime, marblet, greasy Republican ass. Godspeed, old friend. Some of these words I don't know. Sorry, but I'm sure some is pretty. This is why cousins shouldn't marry. Someone else is saying. Yeah, I'm actually more concerned about this woman. Is fun to make fun of her, but I'm actually more concerned that she actually got a TV. There's a very she got a spot on mainstream TV in Kuwait. That's a major cause for concern. I'm also concerned about the fact that she has an audience. People take her seriously. I'm more concerned about that if she has a degree. I want to know what kind of a that university needs to be closed down. But seriously,
At least criticized.
right? At least criticized. Yeah. No, I mean, if there is a field, if there is a field called prophetic medicine, any university that has a degree like that should be shut down. Seriously.
Maybe.
All right, let's go to
science. Yeah.
Let's go to the next news.
Okay, so Israel converts an historical mosque into a bar and events hall. So this is in Safed in Israel. So the Israeli municipality in Safed has turned one of his most historical mosques in the Arab city, Al-Amhar Mosque, into a bar and an events hall. In 1948, it was occupied by Jewish gangs and was first turned into a Jewish school and then finally converted into a nightclub. Its name was changed from Al-Ahmar Mosque to Khan Al-Ahmar. Kahir Tabari, I'm probably ruining all the pronunciations here, but Tabari, secretary of Safed and Tabir's Islamic Endowment, said that the mosque is now open for use for everything except prayer by Muslims.
I think this is a very biased source, the way that they're reporting on this, right? I think this article was meant to get some Muslims riled up and angry. I'm pretty sure there would be first of all, I mentioned Jewish gangs. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
So I was
that's not really neutrally phrased.
Yeah, this is I think, first of all, the fact that this article was meant to be anti-Israel, to me, it says more about the audience that this was intended for than the news itself. Because the offensive thing is that this is turned into a bar. Like the taboo that alcohol is to them. Like if they had turned this into a museum or turned this into or it was also a school before they turned it into a bar eventually, right? But that wasn't offensive. If it was turned into a library, but the fact that it was turned into a bar and they serving alcohol, this is why they're reporting on it. And I think they intended. This is actually something about. This is supposed to get people angry about what Israel is doing. I mean, it mentions Jewish gangs, and also it mentions that you cannot do anything in here except pray, other than praying, other than Muslims praying. Like, really, is that really an official statement by a bar? So, like, a bar is saying, like, actually, if you want to you could come have Christian prayers in our bar. You could come have Jewish prayers in our bar, but no Muslim prayers in our bar. Really?
Yeah, it's really oddly specific.
I think this article is written by somebody very biased, anti-Israeli bias. I'm not. First of all.
Yeah.
Another thing is
the source is the Middle East Monitor. I'm not very familiar with this medium, but they at least this article seems to be biased. Yeah.
I mean, we're not the intended audience because most people that react to us we're like, oh, that's great. Like, it's a beautiful building. It's better to be used for a bar than a place of worship. That's a better use of a pretty building, right? So,
Yeah.
but like you can see that the tone of the article is meant to be like this is like meant to suggest that this is a crime or something, right?
Well,
But
it might be.
but
It might
most
be.
but when we're reading it, we're like, well, what's wrong with that? This is a better use of that space.
Yeah, but
But
the
we're
way
not there.
the way it was obtained from another community by force during a war, well, you could consider that a crime. We don't know the exact circumstances, but of course, the 1948 war, we know that the Israeli side claimed more land than they were allotted to by the United Nations. So I'm not sure if this is inside that territory that was actually allotted to the Palestinians, but it might have a point.
Right.
So
No, but okay, but that's not what okay, so that's not the point of what the article is trying to make, right? The point is like it was turned into a bar, right?
yes,
Because like holy shit, like because if I mean go ahead and read that because I mean that's another debate. Some the counter response to what you're saying is like yeah, there was an agreement, but then they attacked, so we counterattacked, and if they attack, then the agreement that we had before the attack doesn't stand anymore. But that's a whole other
yeah,
debate that we could have right here. I mean, we should have a
yeah,
different discussion. But I think the main point was not that it was they didn't lead. If you look at the title and everything, it's not like oh this was they criminally took our mosque, right? It doesn't say that,
yeah,
and it just says they turned it into a bar. So the fact that it was turned into a bar is the offensive thing that is meant to grab people's attention. But
yeah.
when we posted on Atheist Republic, I'm pretty sure. Let's see the top comments. I'm pretty sure everyone is happy with this decision. So the top comment is excellent, a good idea for the church in Paris that burned and need renovation. Actually, I think those churches could just be tourist hubs. I like them as tourist
Yeah.
hubs because they're pretty and they're historic. Um, I mean, I wouldn't mind these mosques to be turned into museums or turned into libraries, anything. I don't want them destroyed because they're pretty.
Yeah. So
Bright, you go on.
if I can say something about that, I when there was a fire at Notre Dame in Paris, um, I had very much I had difficulty sympathizing with it because
What really?
the building is still being used by the Catholic Church, and I really detest that organization. I detest everything they stand for. Well, most of the things, and most of the things they do. They could do so
Oh
much
come
for the
on!
world.
If the Catholic Church owned, for example, the Mona Lisa, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, by some accident, the Mona Lisa was burned or something. I'm still gonna be like, holy fuck, we lost the Mona Lisa, even if it was owned by the
Yeah,
Catholic Church. I don't. It's still a work of art and beauty, and it's
yeah,
like,
that's true. That's true.
yeah,
I don't know. It's a very subjective thing. I think I find it very hard to separate the function of the building,
right.
which is used by the Catholic Church, from the art and the history of that building.
Right.
Even though I really admire the latter,
Hmm.
I can't separate that from detesting the former. But
I
yeah,
I can separate.
I would prefer to turn it into a tourist hub if that was
Right.
possible. It's still
I
already owned by the French state, so
I actually for example, I'm very one of the people know how anti-Islam I am, right? Like that's one of
yeah.
the main things we speak about, right? I as somebody that one of my major fights is against Islam. Enjoy Islamic art. I actually like Islamic architecture, Islamic mosques. They look pretty to me. Calligraphy, all all the Islamic art, I actually enjoy them. They're pretty, even though I am very very anti-Islam. Brian is saying Muslims take pride in converting churches and basically everything into mosques, even in the modern era. So a little taste of their own medicine is perfectly necessary. I actually don't agree with that. I
Oh,
like the fact that the mosque is turning into a bar or anything else because one and now it's being used for something useful other than just worship. Plus, the a building that looks pretty is not being destroyed, and is there's somebody's making money off of it, so the building gets to stay.
yeah.
I don't believe in collective punishment. It's true that Muslims took a lot of churches and For example, even in Israel, when Muslims took over synagogues, they turned it into, a place where animals went and, shat and everything and urinated all over the place, and they did it on purpose as a method of disrespect towards the synagogues. But just because some Muslims did that, you can't be like, well, then fuck all Muslims. Let's do it. Like, this is that kind of thinking that Brian has is collective punishment. Like, oh, a taste of your own medicine. Like, if you want a taste of your own medicine, like, to people that didn't do the things that you're saying some other Muslims did. I mean, this is the one reason why we're against religion, is because it endorses that kind of mentality, often that kind of collective punishment, holding a whole group of people responsible for the actions of some people, right? So I don't agree with Brian over here.
No, and it's also adherents from other religions have done this as well, taking over the places of worship of other religions. For example, the Mezquita in Cordoba. It was a mosque, but it's I think it's a church now. Yeah, it's a Catholic cathedral now. So, and it's still a beautiful building, but I don't think that's the right way to do it, and I would also object to this kind of mentality from then we should destroy all the places of worship. Now, if it doesn't have a function anymore, then it's okay to demolish it. But if it's a beautiful thing, then even a secular state should perhaps support its restoration. And
right. So Sobham is saying Islamic. Yeah, I agree with that, because it's part of history. Like, we don't we don't go and destroy Mayan. Like, we don't think like okay. So you think you can separate the idea with the buildings and stuff,
function,
right? With the function. Well, like, for example, when you go to Mexico and you see the ziggurats, right? I think that's a huge part of history, and it's very valuable and looks pretty, and we should keep it, right? But you know what they were used for? They had human sacrifices on top of there, and they used to take hearts out and they rolled body down the and the blood kept, like, the whole thing was painted with blood when it was being functional. But we still want to keep them. We still think they're part of history. We still think they're pretty. We're not going to destroy ziggurats because Mayans used it for human sacrifice.
I would still feel uncomfortable, but it's no longer being used like that, so now it's harmless. But the fact that the Notre Dame is still used as a cathedral from the Catholic Church, that makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
So can you see that? Current function.
Yeah,
and
it makes
me
makes you uncomfortable, but I still don't want it to go away, right? Sobham is saying Islamic art and architecture are pretty amazing. Their fusion with Indian style gave India some of the most beautiful architectures. Oh yeah, like Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal. All right, so should we go to the next news?
Yes, let's do that. So the Bible Belt movie theater censors the title of Hellboy on Marquee. This happens in Dickson, Tennessee.
Wait, doesn't the Bible have the word hell in it?
No, I think
it does.
It's the word hell. It's actually Germanic. It's an interpretation from words in the Bible itself. But you don't actually find the word hell in there. So there's Gehenna, but that's an actual place on earth near Jerusalem. But it's often taken as a metaphor for hell. So it's
why is the hell such? Okay, give me the summary before I comment. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
So some Christians don't think that hell is a real place, or it's just a metaphor for being in agony or whatever, or that the word Gehenna or other words in the New Testament.
Give the summary for the news before we go there. By the way, I disagree with you on that, because the Bible specifically mentions the lake of fire. But go on.
Yeah, that's true. So the Roxy Movie Theater in Dickson, Tennessee censored the title of the movie Hellboy to Heckboy. And Christians in the Bible Belt believe that hell is an actual place, so they don't think it should be used in entertainment. You should take it very seriously. And
Wait,
not
so
taken in vain.
okay, but so what? So God, they would. So these people that remove hell, they would remove God as well if it was on the. I don't understand. So actually, read the
It,
summary. Like, what is the summary? Let me see. Oh, the rocks. Oh, that is the summary. That's about it. Okay. So yeah, okay. They translated it to Hellboy, but at least they're showing it. Oh, it's R-rated. Shit. Missing link. Oh, missing link is there. Is that like
yeah.
about evolution?
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah.
Okay.
Probably creationist movie.
Heckboy. That's
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah.
Um,
So you don't get to say what the hell, you should say what the heck.
what the heck? Wait. This is. I mean. So wait. So if the movie had the name God in it, do you think these people would censor that as well?
Well, if it was used blasphemously for some reason,
But
yeah, probably.
how's Hellboy using the word hell blasphemously?
I don't know. I think it's because it makes the idea of hell less seriously. I think so that you should really accept it as a real place and you don't make fun of it.
Right.
And because perhaps because the protagonist in this movie is someone you can sympathize with, and
Actually, they don't say God damn it. They say like gosh damn it, right? Like something like that. And that's why
yeah, or dang it.
Beach is saying heck is where you go when you don't believe in gosh. That's right. Uh, do they? Oh, Neil is saying, do they greet each other with hello or hecko? Brandon is saying, I see Ned Flanders. Brandon, that's exactly the person who I was thinking of. I see Ned Flanders open the movie theater. uh, that's I don't know. I was actually gonna mention him, but I forgot his full name, Ned Flanders. Speaking of movies, this is definitely the land that time forgot. 3 R-rated movies, and they're worried about the title. I guess, yeah. I guess what they mind is like I think they might think that they're being very progressive because they're at least showing the movie, but they're like, fine, people could go watch these ungodly movies in private, but in public we can't just have. There's children. Think about the poor children. That you can't just have the name hell out there in public in front of the children. Like, it's, okay, this is a good.
It makes me think of the controversy surrounding the Monty Python movie, The Life of Brian.
Oh, is that Nightmare
Um,
Fuel in the? Oh, there's Nightmare Fuel is in the live chat. Hey, hi. That's great. We have a celebrity in our live chat. Oh, Mike is here too. Hi, Mike. Okay, go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
so The Life of Brian came out in the late 1970s, and it was controversial because the main character in the movie, Brian, uh, has a very similar life to Jesus, but he's not the Messiah. Jesus actually walks around, and you briefly see him. But in Norway, the movie was banned until they actually placed a disclaimer just in front of the movie saying Brian is not Jesus, even though that's evident from the very first scene of the film. But they just wanted to make that clear that people don't confuse his story with Jesus, even though yeah, they kind of used Brian to ridicule the story of Jesus and basically ridicule the gullibility of people and how religions
Yeah, it was very
emerged.
clever with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that people in the Bible Belt do these kind of things because a lot of times we forget how some places are still stuck in the past like that, and we need to get reminded of like, oh yeah, these people are still around. I mean, even in the United States. So it's good. So thank you for putting this out in the public. So as a reminder for the rest of us. All right.
Yeah.
So the next news. Oh shit! I have a lot to say to
Yeah.
this. Yeah, go on.
Saudi Arabia, mass execution of 37 men, mostly from the Shia community, convicted in unfair trials. So yeah, this was a lot in the news lately, because the Saudi Arabia is supposed to be our ally. Um,
Who's ally?
So,
You're from,
ally of the United States and
but
several
you're
other
not.
Western
But
countries.
we're not from United. I'm from Canada. You're from
I know.
Netherlands.
Yeah, your country has actually taken a very good, brave stance, and
Not brave. Canada didn't take a brave stance against Saudi Arabia. They only started taking a brave, so-called brave stance against Saudi Arabia when it became when it become more popular to do so. After like all the people being killed in Yemen was not like enough to make it popular to be anti-Saudi Arabia, but Khashoggi, like, okay,
yeah,
now you crossed the line. Now you killed a semi-Westerner. Now it's popular. Now people start talking about it, and Canada like, okay, we're gonna take the brave stand. I mean, better late than never, I guess. But go on. Sorry.
yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, Human Rights Watch has said that the government of Saudi Arabia announced the mass execution of 37 men on April 23rd in 2019 in various parts of the country. At least 33 of the 37 were free from the country's minority Shia community and have been convicted following unfair trials for alleged crimes, including protest-related offenses, terrorism, and espionage.
Terrorism is the favorite in Iran.
Yeah,
The favorite go-to crime for taking away political, for killing political, protesters is spy. You're a spy. In Saudi Arabia, is you're a terrorist or something like that. But
okay.
this is a very anti. I think this is a very anti-Iran move. Saudi Arabia is very very paranoid about Iran's influence using the Shia ideology in Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
They're getting more like they're even recently they killed some of their most popular Shia leaders.
Yes, there was a
Is
cleric executed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and this is getting worse and worse. This is actually this 37 at the same time. This is even for with Saudi standards. This is pretty barbaric. I mean, and also as some of these people that were arrested, the so-called crimes that they committed were done when they were minors, right? And
Yeah.
some of these 37 men that were killed, like the trials was a fucking joke. But they did you know that they actually crucified them in public for other people to see? The,
No, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so a few of these 37 men were actually crucified in public, so people could see them and make like to scare the people that other Shias that might wanna. One of them almost ran away. Isn't that in the summary?
No, the article from Human Rights Watch does mention that some of them were beheaded.
Yeah, but some of them were also crucified. Yes, one of them was almost boarding a plane. Jeez, to go to United States. Oh,
Ah.
and he was the one that was going to United States before he was arrested. He was arrested in so this they recently got it all executed, but he was arrested in 2012, and he was supposed to attend Western Michigan University.
Oh, yeah.
This is fucked up, man.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and
It really makes me think of the woman who escaped to the Philippines, but then was arrested by her uncles and taken back.
yeah.
Um, That's she was dragged back on the plane. She was bound, tied, and her mouth was shut, and she was dragged, kicking and screaming back on the plane. And most people now think she's dead.
I want to
Um,
have a discussion with Nightmare Fool is in our live chat right now. I go check out his YouTube channel. It's very good. I think me and him have some foreign policy disagreements on some of these stuff, and I would like to have a discussion about him with because this is something I think United States gets really wrong, especially with Saudi Arabia. I mean, if this was done by Iran, um, United States right now would be all over this, and rightfully
mm,
so, right? Like if
mhm.
something like this was done by Iran, I bet you the U.S. government will be talking about this a lot more than when it's Saudi Arabia. Like this is fucking barbaric. This is some ISIS level shit. even Israel is not going to take a stance against this because Israel and Saudi Arabia are also now cooperating. This just shows that like a lot of the so-called this makes it very difficult for fighting human rights abuses in countries like Iran and other places because every time other civilized countries want to raise the alarm about for Iran's human rights abuses, they're not going to have enough credibility because they let Saudi Arabia get away with shit like this. Right?
Yeah.
So even if you want to take an anti-Iran stance, please call out Saudi Arabia, because if you don't, like, take legit actions against Saudi Arabia, because if you don't, when you try to take a positions against Iran, people are going to point to your hypocrisy, and your actions against Iran is not going to get anywhere, because people are like, well, Saudi Arabia did the same thing, and you guys didn't say shit about that. Not only you didn't say shit about that, you rewarded them with another arms deal. So, yeah, I mean, it's insane. Again, this is something I would like to have a discussion with Nightmare Fuel on his channel or on our channel at some point, because I do follow his videos. He has some really great videos. But let me see. Sobham is saying being a Saudi Arabian citizen should be considered a free pass to become a refugee in other countries. Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe a woman Saudi Arabian.
There's actually many hundreds of Saudi women trying to leave the country at the moment. It's becoming a more international coordinated effort. So right now there's 2 women in Georgia, and there's also two girls in Hong Kong. But those are only the high profile cases. There are many more that we don't hear about, and usually they don't receive enough attention to get the diplomacy going.
Right.
So it's quite difficult, but it's getting more of an kind of an industry really to escape Saudi Arabia, and there's good reasons for it.
By the way, guys, if you want me to read your comments, make sure you mention Atheist Republic, so I know, because there's too many things to keep an eye on. By the way, I don't know if Nightmare Fuel is here or still here or not. Beach is also saying, Beach is confirming that one of the people that was arrested was, what they call terrorism was just people protesting. Okay, so that's Saudi Arabia's definition of terrorism. And Beach is also clarifying that the person, when he was arrested, one of them was 16 at the time. So, yeah, fuck. All right, did you want to add anything, or should we go to the next news?
I'll like to move on.
Okay, let's go to the next news.
So, number 5, Russia's largest yeshiva attacked and with arson and swastikas ahead of Passover. So this happened in Moscow.
In Moscow?
Yes.
By the way, for people that don't know what a yeshiva is, do you want to first tell them what a yeshiva is? Sorry. Yeshiva. It's basically a school for Jewish. It's kind of like a madrasa for Muslims. Yeshiva is like where you learn Jewish. I actually visited a big major one in Tel Aviv when I was in Israel. So basically you spend all day just learning about the Torah and mostly the Talmud, actually. So this is the largest one in Moscow. Oh, it's actually the largest one in Russia. Holy shit! This must have been a huge yeshiva place. Attacked, and it was burned, and they had swastikas. For anybody that wants to, some people might think like, "Hey, this might be a fake attack or something like that." I just want to remind you that Russia has not been plagued by the PC culture. They've been plagued by a lot of other things that is worse than the PC culture. So I don't. The chances of this being a fake sympathy attack, or like trying to get sympathy kind of attack, is very, very, very low. But Russia does have a huge, a historic anti-Semitic problem. Yeah, Putin is not one of them, but he has other crimes to answer to. But Putin is not anti-Semitic. He actually supports building of synagogues and stuff like that. So, but this is the swastikas in Russia. Like, what does that say to you? Do you think there's a rise of neo-Nazism in Russia as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've seen it over the past 3 decades, I would say, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Mm.
Um, and it's very much supported by state propaganda, even though they won't openly support neo-Nazism. They will support Russian nationalism, and they will tolerate a lot of neo-Nazism as long as it doesn't threaten the current regime. So
But
yes,
one
that
thing I
and
don't get, the Nazi regime, the real one, the one that was not pro. It was pro Aryan. It was never pro white. Like, do these people know that the Russian race was not something that the Nazi, like, these are Russians that are doing this and they're drawing swastikas. Do they
yeah.
know that if Hitler was around, he would be nuts? Like, he wouldn't want these people in his camp or anything? Like, do they understand that? Like, because a lot of people
So
confuse Aryan with white, um,
yes.
but
So
Russians are not Aryans. Go on.
no, indeed. So there's actually in original Nazism, skin color as such wasn't really
Hmm.
mentioned. It was far more advanced than that. So the Nazis were talking
By the way,
about
be careful, people.
Aryans,
Be
Germanic
careful.
people, German
Advanced.
people.
Unfortunately, like, people, if you say that, some people are going to think like you're saying it was a good thing. People are going to try advance in a way that it was it was a very sophisticated kind of evil. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes. So they didn't have these colors, skin colors, very very prominently. It was deeper than that. So you had also measurements of how big someone's face is, and it was much more advanced than simply about skin color. And
Right.
they had a very negative attitude towards Slavic peoples. They also thought those were inferior,
Yeah.
and so I don't understand why many Slavs these days are neo-Nazis, because
Yeah.
the original Nazis were quite anti-Slavic, and most
Yeah, and Russians too. Russians should. I think
yes.
these people don't know the history of the Nazi ideology, because if they actually knew it, they wouldn't want anything to do with it, right?
Yeah, so there were also genocides committed against Slavs, so especially the Poles and the Russians and the Czechoslovaks,
Mm.
and that mostly had a racist motive. So
Yeah.
um, many Soviet prisoners, I think it was 2 or 3 million, they were deliberately starved to death in Nazi prisons.
Right.
So
Actually,
it's
and actually, something people don't know is that the Nazi regime killed more white people than any other people,
yes,
right? So that's
and
that's. I
that
mean, we shouldn't. Yeah.
there's
Okay.
nothing to laugh about, but it's
No.
something to consider.
Yeah.
Like this is so wildly contradictory to what you would expect.
Yes, they weren't white supremacists. They were Aryan supremacists.
Yes, that's a better way of phrasing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're Aryan supremacists, and actually, if you look at the categories that they had, they thought, like, for example, so they had the Jews at the very very bottom, at the worst of
Yeah.
all people, and the top was the Aryan race.
Yes.
And, like, for example, if you looked at, I think, the French people, they were still below the Aryans. So
Hmm.
they think, like, the Aryans are the group of people that can, they appreciate culture and science and progress, and they also create. These are the people that also create culture and art and science. But for example, the French people, like, are below them. They can't. They can't. They can appreciate. They are still advanced enough to appreciate art and culture and science, but not advanced enough to actually create it.
Yeah,
And then when you go
it's
all the
such a
way
crazy
down,
ideology.
yeah, and then when you go all the way down to the Jews, they're not even, they're the anti-race, right? They are basically the polar opposite of what the Aryan is could be. Like, they're not even, not only they can't create, not only they're inferior, not only they don't provide any value, in their minds. By the way, YouTube is going to fucking destroy us based on what we're saying. Well,
It should be clear that we completely oppose Nazis.
we're saying what they please YouTube gods. We're saying what these idiots believed. We're not endorsing it. We're just giving you part. We're actually just talking about history. Okay, so they believe that the Jewish people were actually destroyers of art and culture and science and everything that makes a society good. So that's what they believed in, and this is why they are very anti-Jewish. And this is, but by the way, and one thing also, like a lot of people call these people neo-Nazis and stuff, and some people say like, no, the Nazi party is gone. You shouldn't call them Nazis. Well, that's why we call them neo-Nazis. We don't call them Nazis. Yeah. But another thing is that people have to understand is that the anti-Semitic views is larger and older and a stronger meme than Nazism, right? So Nazism is one of the most violent expressions of anti-Semitic views in histories, but anti-Semitic views predates Nazism by thousands of years, and it's a much bigger and it's a bigger disease than just Nazism. Right? And it's a much stronger meme than just Nazism alone. So people have to understand that even if Nazism is defeated, even if Nazism dies, Nazism is just a small but a very extreme and a very violent expression expression of anti-Semitic views. But anti-Semitic views itself is as old as Abrahamic religions itself.
Yes. You see them inherent in the holy books of Christianity and Islam, very much so.
Yes.
For various reasons, Jews have been accused of being Christ killers for 2,000 years. So.
Right. Oh, I see Yuval is in Facebook. Hi, Yuval. By the way, make sure you mention Atheist Republic if you want to read something. Subham is saying, I heard that. Wait, before I read that, somebody else that I can't pronounce the name up there above said Russians are considered Aryans and origin of Aryan race was disputed between Russia and Yamanaya? Where is it? Yamnaya? I don't know. Yamnaya. I don't know where that is. But, okay, I didn't know that if they considered Aryans or not. But I don't believe them because everybody wants to be, everyone, a lot of race... a lot of people that believe in race purity and stuff claim to be Aryans. Like Iranians also claim to be Aryans, given that the word Iran means the land of the Aryans. But even though their race has been mixed so much with other races that they're not Aryans anymore. But I don't. So so when you say Russians are considered Aryans, I don't know if that means they are or they're not. I don't even. Yeah. So. Maybe they just think they.
I wouldn't even try to classify. Like we have one human race. And,
well, I would try to classify that because it's funny when people try to. It's funny to me when people try to pretend that they're Aryans and then you do blood tests and they're not. So as for that comedic effect, I don't mind sometimes doing actual real tests. Subham is saying, I heard that Hitler wasn't even of Aryan descent. He just admired them. We don't know. I heard many things. Subham is saying Aryans came to India and composed the hymns and mantras, which resulted in Hinduism. This was why was Hitler a Christian? Hitler didn't really like Christianity actually. Subham he preferred Islam. Subham is saying, isn't the word Aryan derived from Indo-Iranian? No, it's actually the word Iran that it was derived from the word Aryan. Iran means the land of the Aryans. Actually, my name, Armin, means the guardian of the Aryan land. So, yeah. Jens is saying Trump supporters in Russia. Oh, come on, guys. Don't do this. No, Trump supporters are not neo-Nazis, okay? Yeah, I disagree with Trump supporters. I don't understand why would they support Trump. But please don't reduce them to neo-Nazis. That's not a fair accusation. You can say there are many neo-Nazis that support Trump, But
Yeah.
don't make the claim that Trump supporters are neo-Nazis. You know,
Yeah.
that's very unfair.
I agree. Yes.
Okay, Iran. So somebody saying Iran are Persians. Well, yeah, Persian. Well, yeah. So a lot of Persians think that they're Aryans, and they were originally they used to be. I don't know. Like, well, that's another discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Just one other clarification. You know, Reza Shah, the king, the first king of the Pahlavi dynasty before the Islamic Republic of Iran, he actually was allied with Hitler, right? Like he was a big fan of Hitler, and a lot of people at that time considered that Hitler could be the leader of the Aryans in the West, while Reza Shah becomes the leader of Aryans in the East. So that was their dream that they had. Anyways, let's go to the next news.
Filipino devotees nailed to crosses to reenact crucifixion. So this is something really devout Christians do sometimes. Hundreds of tourists watched as actors dressed as Roman soldiers hammered 4-inch nails through the hands and feet of a Filipino into a wooden cross for the 33rd time in a Good Friday reenactment of Jesus Christ's crucifixion.
This happens every fucking year, and every year I have to double check, because every year, even though it happened last year, I have to actually check, like, is this really something that is happening? Even though I checked last year every Good Friday, and yeah, this is, you know, they're not just they're actually putting nails through their hands. Like, are they just tying them to crosses? No, they actually have nails going through their hands, right?
So I'm not sure if this is their hands or is it their wrists? Because historically it would have been their wrists, otherwise they're not being historically crucifixion.
Yeah, they're not being historically accurate, because if they were, it would destroy their entire hand, right? Because if you go through their wrist, it will just break all your fucking bones and nerves, and then you wouldn't be able to use your hand ever again. They're going through their palms. No. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so because, you know, in historical crucifixion, right. I'm a historian, so in historic crucifixion they would not nail them through the hand, palm of the hand, because then the hand would rip out and
it wouldn't be able to support the weight, right? But I'm just saying, because a lot of Christians don't know that, and that's why all the pictures of Jesus has the nails going through the hand, right? Yeah. Whereas would be go through, if it was being historically accurate, it would go through the wrists, right?
Yeah, so between the bones.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's a good thing that they're not being historically accurate, because that would damage
in this case,
them.
It's a good thing.
That would damage them for good. Yes. But even still, this is why they have. If you look at the pictures, this is why they have ropes around their arms, because the nail would not be able to hold them to the cross. Right? They said, but why is this not illegal in the Philippines? Like, why is this allowed? Like, you have other grown men going and actually crucifying. Like, this should be fucking illegal. Shouldn't it be illegal?
Well, why should it be illegal if this is self-inflicted?
Well, I mean, isn't it?
I think legally, are you allowed to harm yourself if you know that you're going to harm yourself?
I mean, these are the people that are harming them are the people dressed in Roman soldier outfit. That's the people that are actually putting the nail through their hands.
Yeah, right? Okay, but I would say this is with consent. It's a really stupid thing to do, but I think you're allowed to do that, right?
Should this be allowed? What do you think, guys? I mean, I don't know. Like this, I don't think this should be allowed.
I think it's a bad idea.
I know it's of course. Oh, you think? Well, thank you so much for that brave stance, Leon. Crucifying people, putting nails through their hands is a bad idea.
Yeah, I know, but you know, sometimes pain can be an interesting thing. For example, in
what are you saying? Wait, Leon. Kids, if you're watching, don't listen to Leon. What are you saying? Pain is not a good thing. What are you talking about?
Okay, so we started with anal worms eating sperm, and now you're going to warn the kids that she shouldn't listen.
Oh my god.
It's a bit late, Armin.
Okay, no, what are you saying? Pain is not a good idea. What are you trying to say? Oh my god. Okay, wait. Jack is
Yeah.
saying going through hand is still not even remotely safe. Surely folks have nerve and tendon damage from this nonsense. Muska is saying Christians enjoy role playing too. Daniel is saying reminds me of when you were talking about the Shia. Oh yeah, the Shias hitting the. But even the Shia Muslims, when they hit themselves, they don't do damage that stays. Like these people are actually putting holes through their hands, right?
Mhm.
Some people think like some people might think like, okay, they're idiots or whatever. Like let idiots do whatever they want to themselves. But I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair for people to be harmed this way just because they're idiots. I don't think this is a fair punishment
Yes.
for
Yes.
stupidity.
So legally, I think you can't really prohibit it, but morally, we have an obligation to tell them this is not a good idea. Please don't. Yeah.
Um,
But it's
so I'm saying, I mean, stupid people
I
are
don't
allowed to
think
do stupid
this is what
things.
evangelical American Christians think about when they say, "What would Jesus do?" It's not like,
Yeah,
okay,
but
nail me
what
to a cross, please.
this mainly happens in the like every year we hear the same story, and I'm pretty sure next year we're gonna have to repeat the story again, right? But why does this happen in Philippines? I mean, I don't hear the story from other places. There are other Catholic countries. We have Brazil, we have Mexico, right? Why? What is it about Philippines that people do this? I want to know. Like, is there somebody needs to investigate? Someone is saying, I mean, stupid people are allowed to do stupid things as long as others aren't harmed. I guess, but it's still a tragedy. Even if don't be one of those people that say that okay, these people are stupid, so they deserve it. No,
No,
stupid
no,
people
that's
don't
blaming
deserve.
the victim.
Yeah, stupid people don't deserve to be harmed.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Subham, you're saying that, by the way. This Bahin Kaka, I don't know. He's saying he or she is saying poor Philippines are named after Spanish King Philip, and they are also enacting a crucifixion. Yeah, actually, the interesting thing
yes,
is when I was in Philippines, I asked a lot of Filipinos that did they know that their country is named after King Philip of Spain, and they did not know that. Axel, most of them did not know that. Axel is saying, let them do it, natural selection at work, but I would insist they go the whole hog. No, Axel, that's very mean.
no, no,
Natural
that's very
selection,
inhumane of you to say.
no, yeah, I mean,
No,
natural selection is force of nature. Is not meant to be a way we run society, or that's not. Yeah, anyways, that's not nice.
no,
Soraya is saying so. Basically, that they historically didn't nail it. Filipinos seem poor in history lessons. Well, Soraya, everybody is poor in history lessons. Most people don't know the history of their own country. So
yeah,
I'm saying we can tell them that they shouldn't harm themselves like that, but we cannot legally stop them if they want to do it. Oh yeah, I
yeah,
think Sopham is right. Unfortunately, we can't legally stop them. Jack is saying, I mean, one position that we have against circumcision is that let people grow up and then they could do whatever they want to their body after they grow
yeah,
up. Don't do anything to their bodies when they don't have the when they can't decide for themselves. So if we want
yeah.
to be
But they don't
consistent, these
can't give
people are
consent.
adults. Yeah, these people are adults. I guess it's their body, their choice, right?
Hmm.
Jackie's saying, but we should still try to stop it. I think we
Yeah,
shouldn't force them to stop it, but we should find other ways to try to convince them to stop it.
yeah,
Jackie's saying, I think they should be allowed to harm themselves, but no one should be allowed to do it to them, and you obviously can't do it to yourself. So it should be illegal. Oh, actually, Jack found a good loophole. Well, you could do it like, yeah, you could nail yourself to a cross, but nobody should be allowed to nail you to a cross. So if you find a way to nail yourself to a cross, go ahead and do it. Musa
so,
saying, yeah, that's actually a
but
good loophole, actually. Yeah.
well, that's basically an argument you made a few minutes ago. But I countered that by saying, well, these other actors, they have gotten consent from the person being crucified, so that
Wait,
would
so if I get
still mean it's
your
legal. I would
uh,
say it's legal.
so Leon, if you give me consent to shoot you in the head, should it be legal for me to shoot you in the head?
Oh, that's a good one. No,
No. I
no.
mean,
It shouldn't.
I'm all for assisted suicide, but the way assisted suicide works is that you have a professional, that you go through, somebody comes and does some mental analysis on you, and see if they could change your mind, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to it. You have to maybe and then there's assisted suicide, but it's not like assisted suicide when it becomes legalized. It doesn't mean that now you could go like, hey, I'm okay if anyone wants to kill me, and then all of a sudden is human season on your ass. It's not. It doesn't
I
work like
think
that, right? So given that that's not legal, I think Jack's method works. I think
I I think
if it's not legal for somebody to consent that somebody else kills them, then it shouldn't also be
well,
legal for somebody to be able to like, hey, come crucify me. I think the
well,
person that is
I
doing the
think it's a bit of a slippery slope argument because when you
but
crucifying
slippery
someone,
slope is a
you're
logical
not killing
fallacy.
them, so they it's presumed that they are able to recover even if they have permanent damage. But if we can't consensually hurt someone else, then we have to abolish all sports like boxing, or
Wait.
it's also with consent that you hit someone on the face, even though you're trying to prevent it. But when it happens, it's consensual, and you can't like
Yeah,
say,
but
oh, that's
still, but
illegal.
yeah, but then there's a environment where that's allowed, right? You can't be
Yeah, well, you
like,
could say that this play is also an environment where it's
yeah,
allowed.
but if they specify where it's allowed legally, right? You can't, if you go into a bar and be like, somebody punched me in the face, and then somebody punches you in the face, I think that's, you still get charged for that, right? But if you're in a boxing ring, then you won't get charged for that, right? So it's same with assisted suicide. If there's a specific way you do it, like if you say like, hey, I want assisted suicide, I want to die with dignity, then there's a specific way that's done. But if you like say, hey, somebody come kill me, and then somebody just randomly shows up and kill you, that's illegal. And I
Yeah.
think so. There is like there needs to the people that do unless somebody goes and gets a degree in how to crucify people and does it professionally or something, I don't know. I think this should be illegal. So I think Jack found a good loophole. Jack is saying, what? Hippocratic oath. First, do no harm. There's absolutely no benefit to this. It only causes harm. Oh,
Yeah, but we're not in a medical setting, so you're not asking a doctor how to treat a patient. This is theater. This is a play. So I don't think this is a good analogy.
yeah, but harming people in plays that are not allowed. Um, April, I think
No.
April is saying more fun in the Philippines. I don't know if people know. And more fun in the Philippines is actually a tourist tagline from the
Oh.
Philippines that like they that say like everything is more fun in the Philippines. So she's saying that as a joke. The fact that her
Mm.
comment is the top comment shows that we have a lot of Filipino followers, because most people wouldn't know what she's talking about if they didn't know that that's a Filipino ad. More fun in the
Yeah,
Philippines.
yeah,
Andrew is
never heard
saying
that.
Andrew is saying here in Philippines, what cataract is the third biggest cause of blindness. Religion and politics remain the first two. Did I read that right? Yes.
Mm.
I don't think that's correct though. This
I
next,
think it's made as a joke, but
Jesus Christ cosplay gone too far. Sebastian saying, so they suffer pain in order to honor Jesus, who suffered pain in order to save others from suffering pain. Makes so much sense. Oh yeah, actually that's
yeah,
a good point, because isn't the whole philosophy is like, hey, I paid for everything, so you're all good.
yeah,
So why are you going through pain? Everything is already been paid for. So you guys are like, Jesus, like when these people die, Jesus is gonna be like, what the fuck? Didn't I like
he
what?
suffered for nothing because
Yeah,
he still have to repeat it.
yes,
So.
these people are gonna go to hell because they're gonna make Jesus look like he did all that suffering for nothing. Jesus, like, you can't outshine my pain. Um, Shani is saying Philippines was a good country until religion came in. Actually, that's not historically accurate. It wasn't ever a country
Always
until.
was religion.
No, first of all, it had other religions. It had before Catholic religion came over, and before the Catholic religion came over, before the Spanish invasion, it wasn't even a country.
No.
So it was never a country before religion. Anyways,
By the way, weren't the southern islands or peninsulas already Islamic by then, or partially Islamic?
no. There's
No.
okay. Well, I mean, so it was all. It was very. Everything was mixed, but
Mm-hmm.
then by. So Indonesia became Islamic because of the spice trade, right? So
Yeah.
Indonesia is one, but it's basically the board, where the line, where the Catholics stopped and Islam began. It was kind of blurry, and it's still blurry today. Um, but the interesting thing is that Islam came to that region. It's one of the few places where Islam spread without the sword. So
Mm-hmm.
Islam
By
came,
trade.
yeah, by the spice trade. So Islam came to most countries in North Africa and the Middle East by the sword, by invasion. But Islam came to Indonesia and Malaysia by the spice trade. Monica is saying, are there dissenting protests allowed alongside it? That seems the most reasonable reaction since it appears difficult to criminalize it. I saw a picture, somebody showing up with a Spider-Man costume next to one of these crosses, making fun of it, and one of the Roman soldiers was like whipping the guy, trying to make him go away. So I saw that. There was
Wow.
one Spider-Man guy was trying to protest that. So, but yeah, some actually atheist activists in Philippines. Please, maybe we could arrange something there to go protest these crucifixions. Mike is saying, how is it different from sacrifixion and other body modification?
Scarification against?
Is that what it is? Scarification? What does that mean? I don't know that word, scarification.
Then you place scars on your body for some reason.
I thought it was.
So
Oh,
scarification.
scarification and other body modifications. Well, I guess at least the people that do that, they are doing it in a professional setting where everything is, you know, sterilized and all that.
Well,
Yeah.
not always. I mean, I assume that you have heard of the phenomenon of cupping therapy,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's called hijama in Arabic. Have you heard about that?
With the fire and the cup that sucks your
Yes,
body. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
is
mean,
usually not very sterile and
so
hygienic.
that should be legal. There you go. So
Yes,
when there you go. So when somebody does something like that and it's not sterile, the government comes and shuts it down, right?
it
So
should.
yeah, they should come. So there you go. If we're being consistent, if that something like that is shut down, this should also be shut down. Mosque saying these people need a.
That's a medical setting, so then you have the oath of
No, they could
hypocrisy.
be okay. So they should be like, okay, this is a play. Then we're not doing medicine.
Well, if they're not
They should,
qualified doctors, then it's a quackery. So
no, so it could be
everything is
if
its
if
own.
you're saying if it's a play, then it should be allowed. Then all they need is an audience, and then they're good. So you're giving them a loophole. These people need a psych wards. Yeah, I guess Jack is saying no. I don't think so actually, because I don't know. We're not professional mental experts to know. Jack is saying Hippocratic oath idea works throughout. Is that what is that? Hippocratic oath. Somebody explain it to me. Do you know what that is, Leon?
Yes, so this is from the ancient Greek doctor Hippocrates, and
Oh.
it's the first rule of all is do no harm, and so that the doctor may not harm the patient, he can only heal the patient. But sometimes you may have to give a patient some pain. For example, when you need to vaccinate them,
Or
it
cut
may
off their
sting
arm because it's
to have to take a
infected.
shot, but afterwards you will be protected. So that's
Right.
an exception of the rule of Hippocrates. So it's a good rule of thumb, but sometimes there are exceptions. You may have to hurt your patient in order to make them better.
Right. So for example, when you cut off someone's arm because it's infected. So Jack continues. Yeah, that makes sense. Jack is saying that there's a benefit to violent sports, even if just fitness, so at least you get fitness out of it. I believe there must be a benefit if someone is potentially causing another harm. Yeah, but Jack, remember, Philippines is a Catholic country, so they could argue that the benefit is way greater than the cost because they're getting spiritual benefits from it. I'm going to just refer to you as Kaka. Kaka is saying Catholics have a religious reasoning for self-flagellation, so crucifixion is a form of it. Yeah, Shias do as well. All right. I wish somebody had posted the picture of the Spider-Man showing up to protest one of these. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And with the Roman soldier was like beating him, it was pretty amazing. All right, let me see if I miss anything here. Somebody's saying I love you. I love you too. What is it? Thank you so much. Who is this? Let me give a shout out. Fletcher. All right, so load of bullshit. Don't stop, Armin. Okay, thank you. All right, let's not stop then. Next news.
Okay, a church that says that drinking bleach is a miracle cure continues to do damage. So this is Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing, and it has been telling members to drink bleach to cure everything from cancer to HIV to Ebola. Oh. Like ABC News paid to attend a seminar hosted by church founder Jim Humble and exposed the place in 2016, but the church still exists. Even the Department of Justice has gotten involved with this scheme, finding a man guilty of selling industrial bleach as a miracle cure for numerous diseases and illnesses. You see, this is an area where religion and quackery overlap, and it happens a lot. We've actually seen it in the first story.
No, so okay, let's just reflect on this for a second.
Yeah,
they're giving bleach to babies. Like there's a baby, like somebody. This was supposed to be stopped. This is a famous church that did this for a while now, but they apparently stopped it. But somebody went in to check if they stopped it, and they took a picture of them getting a baby to drink bleach.
Yes.
Wait, what is this? How's
extraordinary? It's such bad advice.
Honestly, like I could not believe, like this is something that you hear and you think like, yeah, religions are so bad. You might they might as well give. This seems like something you would just say to as a metaphor to how bad religion is. Like as every time you think like maybe sometimes we have to be careful not to exaggerate the cost of religion and this kind of like. Thinking, but then you hear in a story like this, they're drinking bleach, like seriously, how far? But how are they getting this out? This is a church, right? It's called Genesis 2
Church of Healing and Health.
Oh my God, they actually named themselves. They call themselves Church of Healing, Health and Healing. Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing, and they're making babies drink bleach. But why is this not like? Why is it like? Why are they not all arrested? Like, why is it like I looked into this? I like, okay, so was there like a raid? Like, was the FBI showed up? Like, did the whole police showed up and arrested everybody? I like, no, they're just talking about it. Like, when people were eating Tide Pods, this was like talked about everywhere, and I was like, why is this not like the #1 trending news like that right now? I think when religion does it, people are like, well, it's religion. But then it's a baby. Like, come on, like, it's religion, but the kid there is not religious yet. Like, come on, people. Like, why is this not a bigger deal right now? Why is there not a whole bunch of police arresting every fucking person in this church right now? And how are they getting this from the Bible? Like, I don't understand. Like, how is this? Do you know what they're saying? Like, is there any so-called logic? Like, is there any argument that they have for this? I don't understand.
I don't think bleach was already invented when the Bible was written. I think this is their own interpretation of things.
Of what?
Like
interpretation of what?
Or something.
But why bleach? Like,
I think they just think, well, what works for the toilet must work for the body or something. I don't know.
Okay, so Beach is mentioning
reasoning going on here.
Beach is mentioning in the live chat that this bleach drinking didn't start with religion. Some woo nut on the internet did it, but okay, that's so exactly because you would expect that. Like this whole anti-vaccine movement also wasn't started. This is a problem with religion, right? It's just a sponge for all the worst ideas, right? So bad ideas come, and religion just sticks to them and just makes them stay, right? It makes them stickier
Yes.
and makes them harder to get rid of. Like, so you have people
Yeah.
say like, "Hey, vaccine caused autism," and then churches and mosque hear that and like, yeah, and I think we have theological arguments for why that's so. And that makes it so religion, when they say religion poisons everything, they don't mean that religion is sometimes it's not the source of these bad ideas. It just makes
Hmm.
these bad ideas so much harder to get rid of. Right? It makes
Yes.
it so much more
Because
complicated to fight against them. Because
yeah.
again, if this was kids with YouTube videos eating Tide Pods, this would be something that it would be an international emergency and people would be talking about it and fighting it. But when a church does it, it's just not reacted to. Same thing with vaccines, right? So when they want to enforce vaccine rules on parents, they come up with religious exemptions. Again,
Yeah.
coming up with double standards for people with religion. This is why religion,
Yes.
even if it's not the source of a bad idea, it's just a sponge that makes it stay.
Yes. Exactly. So this is like I'm a skeptic. I'm skeptical of anything that causes harm, but religion usually is the worst one because it adopts all bad thinking from other kinds of bad things. So conspiracy theories, quackery,
Right.
all sorts of paranormal stuff. They all adopt that, and
But
within the field of religion, it gets extra protection because religion has privileged protection within,
right.
well,
It
basically
just
all societies. And when it's part of a religion, it becomes harder to criticize because then you're blasphemous or you're attacking someone's freedom of religion or whatever.
right.
And that makes religion the basically the worst force of bad thinking in the
It,
world,
it's a
basically.
it's a license for bad ideas because okay,
Yes.
so Kaka is also pointing out you can't blame Christianity if some pastor is feeding them bleach. There is no biblical justification for it, and actually I agree with you because there's nothing
Yeah.
in the Bible that supports this. But the problem with not Christianity, here the problem is just with the name religion, right? With just a
Yeah.
branding of religion, right? So one problem with the branding of religion is goes beyond just what they have in their books, because again there's nothing in Christianity that supports this. There's uh, nothing biblical that you could use to say like, yeah, give people bleach and it will cure them, right? So you could
Yeah.
then, if you say that, then you can say, well, then why are you blaming this on Christianity? The reason why you could still somewhat blame this on religion as a whole is because the branding of religion is used as protection for bad ideas.
Yeah.
Even without the scripture, the scripture itself causes a lot of problem. But just because people could just put a stamp religion on something, and all of a sudden it shields a whole, a set of ideas from the same level of, they still get attacked and criticized, but not the same level if they weren't a religion, right? And
Yes.
that level of protection that religion has to offer you is another harm that religion provides to society beyond whatever they're teaching in their scripture. But go on.
Yes. Yeah. I would like to make a point about vaccination in particular. Um, For example, in the Netherlands, there's certain conservative Protestants who refuse to vaccinate. The majority of them do, but a minority doesn't, based on their own interpretation of the Heidelberg Catechism, which says that everything is according to God's plan. And you can't go against God's plan, and they think that vaccination is preventing something that God planned, namely getting you sick. If your child gets ill, then that's part of God's plan. And
Right.
By vaccinating them, you're like infringing on God's plan.
But you can play this
As if
game.
God wouldn't be powerful enough to still make your child ill, like if God is
No,
not
or
on.
actually, the counter argument to that be like, no, you're stopping God's plan because God planned for these kids to be vaccinated, and now you're
Yeah,
stopping them from getting vaccinated, even though that was originally part of God's plan. So you're
yeah.
stopping God's plan. Okay,
Yeah, that's actually I know
but then they
a
could.
scientist who is a Christian actually develops vaccines, and he says, well, God just gave us instructions to develop vaccines, so we're
Right,
actually following God's plan. We're not contradicting it.
right.
So yeah,
You could
there's
also
all
tell
sorts
them
of
like, I'm gonna punch you in
interpretations.
the face right now. And if you just stop my hand, if you defend yourself, you're stopping God's plan because my fist is God's plan. Anyway, Soraya is saying, didn't anyone reported a case which may have caused any baby's internal organs spoiled? I don't know who reported it. Beach is saying supposed to cure autism originally, and the stupid idea has grown. Why Bleach from all the things? Okay. Monica is saying, wait, where did Monica's comment go? Believers are already conditioned to believe cure all or easy fix solutions. Oh, that's a very good point. So of course they find this easy to believe. Easy to believe God wouldn't give you something so complex as medicine. Yeah, actually, you're right, Monica. The mental conditioning is also another problem, which you know prepares your mind for believing some other form of bullshit. Subham is saying this is very similar to a case here. A Hindu woman politician claimed that cow urine cured her breast cancer. I will put the link in the comments later. Thank you, Subham. Mosque is saying, where is this happening at? Oh, did you not mention where is this happening at?
This is worldwide, actually.
No,
The
no,
Censors, it's
specific.
supposed to be
No, but this
based in
specific.
the
So
United States, but
yeah, yeah. This church is in California.
ah,
Yeah, mention. Yeah, let's remember to mention the. Wait, was this the? No, no, this was not in California. Sorry, this is worldwide. You're right. You're right. You're right. But what is this church originally from? No, that's a California is a different item. It's actually good. Thank you for asking, Muskia. So it says
okay.
worldwide, but where is the church originally from? Genesis 2.
Can you find it?
Yeah, I'm trying. It says in Texas.
Okay.
Okay, it's saying wait. Yeah, it says Texas. So
Hmm.
somebody correct us if we're wrong about this.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to. Shane is saying this makes me want to drink bleach. Please don't. Okay. All right.
No.
Next news.
So, ISIS claims responsibility for Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka. So, this happened a few days ago. Everyone will have heard about the terrible bombings on Sri Lanka.
Right.
Actually, 8 bombings, pretty much coordinated. Over 300 people killed. I think it was 331 latest number, and hundreds of people injured. Most attacks were directed against Christian churches, most of them Catholic churches. And some of them were in hotels where lots of foreign tourists were staying. So for a while it wasn't clear who were probably the perpetrators, but a few days after ISIS, so Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, claimed responsibility. Now, we should be somewhat skeptical when ISIS claims to have done a terrorist attack, because they tend to do that a lot, even when the perpetrators themselves don't identify with Islamic State. So they're just trying to be more
Yeah, but this one I think is
prominent
this
than
one I
they
think
actually are.
yeah, but this one I think is legit because recently the police there have gone and like they have arrested a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
They went into a lot of houses, and they're finding ISIS flag in a lot of them. There's a lot of explosions that were being more explosions that were being planned, and now they've been stopped. Like, so
Yes, so there's lots of evidence that points to this actually being um, conducted by ISIS subcontractors, as the Guardian calls them. So there's a local group that allied itself with ISIS, and they're getting logistical support from ISIS.
well, I mean,
And
the thing is that a lot of people don't understand. ISIS works like a franchise, like it's like McDonald's, right? It's not like it's not like Al Qaeda where they actually have to send somebody there from their headquarters for it to become Al Qaeda. It's like you could just open your own chapter, and as long as you follow a certain, certain rules and certain ideology and pledge allegiance, then you're ISIS. Like, you don't. This is why it made ISIS very, very effective in spreading, is that because it removed the middleman. Anybody could open their own franchise. You don't have to send somebody there, which makes it very difficult, because then, transporting stuff and getting people across the border is very, very difficult. You only need to send ideas rather than actual people to be able
yeah,
to open a franchise somewhere. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So sometimes it was already an existing group somewhere that pledged allegiance to
Yeah.
ISIS, to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. So, for example, Boko Haram has
Right.
been around since
Before.
1999, I think, and they swore allegiance as well to al-Baghdadi.
Yeah, so that's like, imagine like if McDonald's like buys a smaller franchise, like you have already a franchise of restaurants which is smaller, and then McDonald's comes and like takes over them. So you should, like, the Boko Haram is already there; they already have a history, but the branding of ISIS seems to be popular, so they just changed their branding to ISIS, and all of a sudden, now we're ISIS, and ISIS grows like that very fast because Boko Haram already has a history of activity there, so they grow.
Okay, so a bit of background. There has already been much religiously motivated violence in Sri Lanka in the past few years. Of course, we've had the Tamil Tigers, but they were Marxist nationalists, sort of. They were not really religiously motivated, but they also conducted very many terrorist attacks. But lately, there has been an upsurge of violence by the Buddhist majority against, especially the Muslim minority. But there have also been threats against, especially evangelical Christians. Catholics usually aren't the target of this because they aren't actively proselytizing, but the evangelicals are. So they are much more the target of threats and abuse.
Targets are threats by who?
Threats by the Buddhist majority.
So the Buddhist
actually,
majority are harming both the Muslims and
the Christians,
and the Christians.
especially the evangelical Christians. Lots of threats and sometimes violence. So, for example, in March last year, in the city of Kandy, in central Sri Lanka, there were anti-Muslim riots after a Buddhist was allegedly killed by Muslims.
So you think
yeah.
this is okay? But then why would the ISIS then, if that's the case, why would ISIS not target a Buddhist target rather than a Christian
So
one?
that's the question. So they claim that it was in retaliation for the Christchurch shootings 2 months ago.
Oh.
And that's, the shooter over there identified himself as Christian.
I actually
much concerned with race, but there are Christian references in his manifesto.
Yeah, even though he didn't use
What?
Even though he didn't use Christianity for justification.
No, barely. It was
Right.
mostly about white people versus Muslims. So,
Right.
which is a very weird juxtaposition. But anyway, so that's probably the reason why they targeted Christians and foreigners who were Western foreigners who were probably Christian or with a Christian background. And they say it was in retaliation for those
That's just
countries
a theory,
involvement
though.
in fighting ISIS in Syria and Iraq.
That's just a theory to why Christians, right?
Um,
I have a different theory.
yes.
I have my theory.
But ISIS itself has put out a statement claiming responsibility for this attack. So the Amaq news agency did claim the attacks.
Yeah,
So,
that's okay. Wait, that's not what I'm saying. It's a theory. The part that it's a theory is your explanation for why they targeted Christians instead of Buddhists. That's the theory. ISIS itself didn't mention why they targeted Christians, right?
Yeah.
So, but my theory for why they targeted Christians is because they want Western media coverage. And I think that they might get more Western media coverage if they target Christians over Buddhists. I think that's. I think this because ISIS depends on media coverage for brand awareness, right? So, for example, people didn't understand why would like ISIS go and have like a lineup of people on the beach and put them in orange, prison suit and then behead them like that. Why is it? Why are they making it such a? They could just do it like inside or somewhere like that, but they just want to make a spectacle out of it, right? Or why they have cages and they burn the pilots inside the page. Why would they go and destroy the historical artifact? Because every time they're trying to see what could get them in the news, right? So I think like because they rely on brand awareness for more people to join them. I think that's why they went after Christians over Buddhists, because I think they were betting that this killing Christians will get more news coverage than Buddhists. I think I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my theory.
I think it's plausible. It would probably be a factor, but as some experts pointed out, these attacks were very professionally prepared. You have to get all the explosives into the country. It's probably not very likely that these explosives and the logistics were just from within the country, and it would probably take more than 2 months to prepare. Otherwise, they would have been very professional, and that's unlikely because never has an attack of this scale been committed by this group of people. So it's very likely that there was foreign interference, or like at least foreign aid to carry out these attacks and plan them. And it would probably have taken more than 2 months. So maybe they were already preparing for attacks similar to this, but they happened to go for churches after the Christchurch shooting happened. So it's not clear.
Yeah, actually, you're right. People that are saying this is a reaction to Christchurch, this kind of bombing to this scale actually takes a lot more planning. I bet actually this was planned before the Christchurch shooting happened.
I think so too. Yes. Yeah. But maybe they now came up with this justification, even though they wanted to do this for a long time. It could also be possible they wanted to, in retaliation for the Kandy anti-Muslim massacres, that they wanted to actually attack some Buddhist temple or whatever target, and that they changed their mind over the past 2 months, and they changed the targets, but they already had the explosives and logistics going. That's also possible.
Right. So one thing people are saying, I suspect all 7 belong to religion of peace, and then Brian is saying the religion of peace strikes again. One thing I have to point out, I'm very much against Islam. There's 2 things to point out here, though, just to be clear, is that the first thing is that this attack was actually it was a lot of people tried to warn the government that this attack is coming, and the main people that were trying to warn the government were Muslims. So let's just be fair to the Muslim community in Sri Lanka as well, because there was a Muslim leader actually in Sri Lanka that was trying to get the government there to pay attention to this. Now, a lot of people are very critical.
Wasn't that a threat rather than a warning?
No. These are concerned Muslim people that were trying to stop the attack.
Okay.
No, that was not a threat. These are actually Muslim leaders.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the main Muslim leader there actually will try to bring this to the government, and they were trying to stop this. So they were trying to warn the government to stop this attack.
That's good.
So, but
late.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if it's fair to be, because the government didn't, and a lot of people are saying this was brought to your attention and you did nothing. I'm skeptical of people blaming the government that much. Like, be careful, because you don't know how many messages like these they get. Like, how it's really hard to judge which threats to take seriously. Maybe they
Yeah.
dropped the ball on this. Maybe they didn't. Remember, they don't have FBI type resources there. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe they did drop the ball. So I'm just saying, don't judge them without knowing if you know the details, right? But
Yeah.
we do have to point out that there were people that actually came to the government with documents trying to say that they brought the names of the people that were actually in this attack. The Muslim community there filed it and brought to the government that they were trying to stop this attack. So just want to be fair to the Muslim community in Sri Lanka regarding this attack. Another thing that I want to point to is that, and this is not a defense of Islam, because if they did attack Buddhists, it would be more Islamic than the fact that they attack Christians. Okay, because and this is not a defense of Islam, because the fact that killing Buddhists is okay in Islam is not an endorsement of Islam. Obviously, that's horrific that Islam allows that, right? But the fact that they just bombed Christians like this makes it not Islamic, because according to Islam, Christians and Jews are second-class citizens to Muslims. They are inferior to Muslims, but they're still protected. You can't just kill them.
Book.
They're people of the book. They're Ahl al-Kitab. You can't just randomly kill Muslims. You can't just randomly kill Christians and Jews. It's still a backward, barbaric religion where Christians and Jews are considered second-class citizens. So I'm not endorsing Islam. I'm still, but the fact that ISIS just randomly killed Christians is not something endorsed in Islam. This is anti-Islamic. I'm just trying to be fair to what we're saying here. Daniel is saying Buddhism also a religion of peace, killing people there. I don't criticize. Again, I'm anti-Buddhism as well, but I don't care. I just want to be fair to. I just want to criticize religion for what they're responsible for. I'm against Buddhism for a lot of, supernatural bullshit that is in there, for it being anti-worldly pleasures, for it being for it teaching about karma and reincarnation, which are very harmful ideas. But I don't blame Buddhism for any violence that these people are the violence that the Buddhist community is committing against Muslims, because that's not something that you could point to in their teachings that they're using to do something like that. Again, I'm not pro-Buddhism. I'm anti-Buddhism, actually. And a lot of atheists don't like that, because a lot of atheists are pro-Buddhism. I'm very much anti-Buddhism. But again, I don't blame Buddhism for the violence that the Buddhist community does.
It seems to me, it seems to me that in the case of Sri Lanka, and also in the case of, for example, Burma or Myanmar, it's more like nationalism, and they see like Buddhism as a national identity, and anyone who doesn't conform to that needs to go. So that's why this violence against non-Buddhists is taking place in those countries, I would think.
Yuval is wanting to correct me. He's saying dhimmis. Dhimmis is basically the name you give to the second-class citizens, like Christians or Jews living. He's saying dhimmis are only protected if they pay jizya. So basically, Yuval is saying that, I think Yuval is suggesting that I'm wrong, because the Christians are only protected if they pay the tax that the Christians are supposed to pay. Then they're protected. But Yuval, I will correct you, because that's only if you're in Darul Islam. That's only if you're living in Islamic land. Sri Lanka is not Islamic land. So I don't think you can, you're a dhimmi if you're a Christian. Actually, going against what I'm saying, maybe they think it's Islamic because it's not Islamic land, and it's Darul Harb. So because they killed these Christians outside of Islamic land, so
House of War.
They're in House of War, so they could kill anybody they want. So maybe that's their justification. I don't know. Anyways, it's all religion. So when you believe in magic, you could come up with excuses for anything. That's the problem with religion. Okay. Should we go to the next news?
Yes, so the Satanic Temple is now officially an IRS-approved tax-exempt church in Salem,
Yay!
Massachusetts.
This is good news. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So the Satanic Temple is now an official temple according to them, the IRS. Interest reserve. What's what is the IRS again? I'm not. What's
the International Revenue Agency, I think.
Oh yeah.
I just
So,
came up with that. I don't know. Maybe. Go on. No,
has recognized the
IRS
group.
stands for the tax people in the United States. Go on now. All right.
Yeah, has recognized the group as a tax-exempt religious organization. Temple co-founder Lucian Greaves added that there was nothing hypocritical about a group that fights religion applying for a religious tax exemption.
Okay.
In fact,
you're good. Finish it fast, and I'll.
Yeah. In fact, he was motivated to seek the exemption specifically after Donald Trump signed an executive order telling the Treasury Department not to go after religious institutions.
So what you're saying is that people are okay. So a lot of people don't understand that the Satanic Temple in the United States is not a religious organization. That sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. It's actually an anti-religion organization, which is using satanic symbols and ideology as a way to fight any threats to secularism, right? So the people in the Satanic Temple are atheists, right?
Yeah.
The people they're not Satan worshippers. They don't believe in the devil. They're atheists. They have built this temple as a way to for whenever the Christians bring religion to politics, whenever they bring religion to school, whenever they bring religion to taxpayer funded public areas, whenever religion gets a special privilege, like the church is being tax exempt. Because they know Christians are so scared of anything satanic, they're like, well, if you're opening the door to religion here, then you should also let our temple, the Satanic Temple, as well. And this has worked so perfectly when, for example, when they brought Bibles to school, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation, I think, couldn't, like when other organizations tried to stop it and they couldn't. Now religion was allowed in school. Then the Satanic Temple showed up and like, okay, we have satanic coloring book for children now in public schools. And the parents lost their mind and like, okay, fine, no religion in school, right? And whenever they had like the 10 Commandments in the city hall or in courthouses or in city hall, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation tried to take it out and they couldn't. Then the Satanic Temple like, okay, we're gonna have a statue right there in the middle as well. And so basically the Christians are learning that if they want to open the door to religion, they have to open it to all religions. And they're scared of, and the thing is that there's two ways to make them regret opening the door to religion. One of them is when Muslims also like, open the door to religion, so Islam as well. But I don't like that because I don't want Islam. Like, I prefer the Satanic Temple. They're also they're terrified of Islam, but they're also terrified of the Satanic Temple. But because the Satanic Temple is run by atheists and it's just meant to scare the shit out of Christians, I prefer them being used as a way to regret opening the door to religion rather than the Muslims.
Yes,
right?
Because sometimes, in some cases, concessions are made to Islam, so they get the same privileges as Christians. That's not what we want.
Yeah, that's not what we don't want the Christians to regret the decision because now we have Islam, Islam getting special privileges as well. We want them to regret their decisions because the Satanic Temple is there now, and this is great. So some people that know that this is the nature of the Satanic Temple is not a religious organization. It's meant to be anti-religion. Now they're going to the Satanic Temple and like, what the fuck? Now you're a tax-exempt church? You're supposed to be an anti-religion organization. But I don't think, but this is exactly how they fight anti-religion. Because they say, why churches get tax-exempt? If Christian churches get tax-exempt, then the Satanic Temple should also get tax-exempt, right? So now, congratulations, Christians in the United States. Now you have Satanic temples that is financially supported by your governments, this is your doing. You have to live with it. I love this. I love the fact that they got this tax exemption status. They have to see if they don't like secularism, they have to know that the real consequences of not having secularism is not the triumph of Christianity. The real consequences of not having secularism is triumph of every fucking religion, especially the ones that you don't like. So you have to live with it. It's secularism or the satanic fucking temple, motherfuckers. Like, this is what you get if you don't have secularism. So I love this.
By the way, can I ask your opinion about Pastafarianism?
So I liked Pastafarianism because that's also intended to do this, but that's too obvious of a joke, right? So if you get if you get Pastafarianism into, like, you get tax exemption from, or if you have a giant spaghetti monster something somewhere in the public area, or in a city hall or somewhere, Christians are like, well, whatever, what the fuck, these people are idiots, they believe in a giant spaghetti monster. Like, okay, fine, have that there. It just looks like a spaghetti monster. They're not offended by that. I want them to be offended, okay? They are the satanic temple. This is something real to them. This is like the fucking devil being endorsed by the government, right? So both the Satanic Temple and the Pastafarian. I mean, I'm an ordained minister by the Pastafarian Church, so I might be biased to say, like, yeah, Pastafarianism should be used the same way, but it doesn't have the same impact. So there's three. You have the opening the door to religion. You could either use Islam or Pastafarianism or the Satanic Temple to make them regret not having secularism. But the problem is that Islam shouldn't work because we don't want Islam to get privileges. Pastafarianism doesn't work because Pastafarianism coming into public life doesn't make them regret anything because they're not that offended by it, or they don't see it as something to be scared of. But the Satanic Temple is both an atheist-supported organization, is not meant to be a religion, and it also something that offends them. So it's the perfect combination, I think. That's why I support them over.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Can I just have a short digression on Pastafarianism? Because there's a case in the Netherlands right now, and it went to the Council of State, which is the highest court in the Netherlands, right, when a Pastafarian woman said she wanted to wear a colander on her picture on her driver's license,
right?
And she was rejected because even though the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is a registered church association in the Netherlands, it's not recognized as a religion, and the Council of State said it's not a religion because it lacks coherence.
What? So, okay.
What? So coherence is now a criterion to be a religion now?
That's good, but that's great because now we can go like, okay, so other religions, if we can show lack of coherence in Islam and Christianity, then they should also lose all their privileges. That's great precedent.
This is very interesting precedent. So yeah. I think so. This Pastafarian woman is now going to take this to the European court. So
that's great. We should cover that when this happens.
Yeah, so and it's an important precedent because religion as such has never been given a legal definition, and by these precedents, we may eventually force lawyers to or judges to make a judgment on what a religion is. What's the definition, a legal definition of a religion?
Right.
Once we've got that, we can say, well, so this and this and this religion says that and that, and then see how well this fits.
It's going to be impossible to draw the line. So
this is actually very interesting, and it's Pastafarianism doing this. So I'm very curious what will happen next.
The Jedi Temple is also doing this, by the way. Godless Heathen saying exploiting the same legal loopholes that the Christian fundamentalists use. Yes, exactly. Sobham is saying Hail Satan, Armenian Palestine 2019. Yes, yes, Sobham, I did that in the Jordanian River. Muscal is saying Internal Revenue Service, IRS. Oh, thank you, Muscal.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. Should we go to the last news?
Yes. So good Christian parents get life in prison for torturing their 12 kids. Holy fuck.
12 kids.
So this is happening in California. David Allen Turpin and Louise Anna Turpin, who tortured and starved their 12 children. Holy shit. Their 12 of their 13 kids were sentenced to life in prison. The reportedly good Christian family.
Wait, who tortured and starved their 12 of their... Okay, so the way you read it, it makes it seem like the kids were sentenced to life in prison. No, they tortured and starved 12 of their 13 kids. Hey, wait a minute. How'd that one kid get away? But so they tortured and starved their 12 of their 13 kids, and now the parents got sentenced to life in prison. Good.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, not good,
so
because they might get they might be able to get a plea deal if they spend at least 25 years in prison. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So they held the children captive with chains and padlocks until one of them escaped and called 911. Wow.
Good. Then
they were arrested after last year after the kids were found living in deplorable conditions. So they survived, but they're very bad in health. Then in late February, the parents accepted a plea deal that guaranteed they spent at least 25 years in prison. So they won't get life in prison, but
so they guarantee means no chance of parole or anything like at least 25 years for sure.
Now a judge has ruled that the penalty for what they did will extend to the rest of their lives. I love both of my parents so much, a statement read in court from another daughter said, God looks at the heart and I know he sees theirs. I've prayed often for them. Would that be the only one kid who didn't? It wasn't tortured and starved?
No, I don't know, but
or is it one of the victims?
No, I think it was one of the victims. It seemed like the kids that were tortured are still defending their parents, which is so sad. It means that they were so brainwashed. But I'm really proud of that one kid that ran away and called 911. Okay, but here's a question. Can you blame this on Christianity? Because I don't know there's any Bible verse that supports this. There's nothing biblical that supports this. So how
kept in chains and padlocks? No, I don't think so. Even though
there's a beating, they're beating.
For example, in Psalms that say that you should beat your kids with a rod if they don't behave. Or there are I think in Exodus, if your unruly child doesn't obey you, then you should take them outside the city walls and stone them to death. So, yeah, there are verses like that, but not specifically keeping them chained.
So can anything be blamed? Okay, so they were considered a very good Christian family.
Yeah.
I think this is the fact that people refer to people good Christian, the fact that people still see Christian as a Christian family, meaning to be a good family. I find that disgusting, right? But other than that, is there anything here that maybe like beating them with rods that could be blamed to the Bible, but chaining them up like this, that's not that's nothing. There's nothing in Christianity that supports this. So is there anything indirectly from Christianity that could lead to this?
If you read especially the Old Testament about how a parent should treat their children, then yes, physical abuse is very much part of that, and they wouldn't necessarily recommend these practices, but beating your child into submission and into obedience, that's very much a part of the Bible, and you see many fundamentalists, Christians, actually practice this out. Yeah. And in many states of the United States, corporeal punishment is actually allowed in schools as well as at home, if it's to make a child obedient. And yeah, it's disgusting, but you can pretty much get this from Christianity. I wouldn't. Yeah. You don't have to really take it literally to be able to say, well, abuse of a child is okay in order to make it obey.
I mean, okay, so let me see what the live chat says. Kaka is saying 12 kids is way too many kids for a good Christian family. Raising 12 kids can make any parents mentally unstable. Yeah, I mean, that could be blamed on Christianity, but like, they're supposed to like multiply as much as they can. Beach is saying, spare the rod, suffer the little children to come unto me. Yeah, that's something that you could blame on Christianity. Beach is also saying they are Pentecostals, so maybe thinking the kids have demons. So I think if you want to try to, this might be a stretch, but if you want to blame other than the rod thing and everything, because this is a lot more extreme than even more than what the Bible is suggesting, right? But if
Well,
you
you can
want to,
execute them for being disobedient.
oh
So,
yeah, you're right. Actually, never mind. It's not.
so
Oh, okay, never
it's
mind.
not.
This is biblical because you could stone them to death if they are. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Actually, okay, never mind. Take that back. This is actually not Christian enough because if they disobey you, or if they are not, if they don't treat you with respect, you could actually stone your kid to death. So
Yeah.
never mind. Christian is totally Christian approved. A lot of people might say, well, that's old. The rod is the New Testament, right? But
No, that's it's Psalms, is that? So that's the Old Testament.
oh yeah, okay, never mind. So, but the
But
stoning part, the
there's an
stoning.
argument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I was gonna make that argument. So a lot of people might say, like, even the stoning part, that's Old Testament, so it's not Christianity. But again, you could say, well, Jesus said, "I'm not here to throw away the old laws." So you could say, well, no, all the laws from the Old Testament still applies, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you could make. Again, it's religion. You could find, if you keep digging enough, you could find an excuse for anything. But go on.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to make exactly that argument that not a jot or tittle of the law would be
Right.
changed and come to fulfill the law. So the law of Moses still very much applies according to several interpretations of the New Testament.
Exactly.
So, but Christians are very much divided on this issue, and fundamentalists tend to still value the Old Testament very much. Yeah.
So godless heathen is saying, I think Christianity has definitely inspired them, but not responsible. However, Christianity has some very strict rules on how to raise your children. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, Beach is actually pointing out that I was right. Suffer the children is under the New Testament.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, but so the New Testament says you could beat them with a rod. The Old Testament says you could
No,
stone
that's the
them
Old
to
Testament.
death. Is it the Old Testament?
Both are in the Old Testament. So stoning your unruly child to death outside the city walls, that's I think Leviticus or Exodus. You can
Right.
probably find
Let's
it.
look this up. Rod Bible. I thought hitting your kid with a rod was actually the New Testament.
No.
There's 16 Bible verses with the rod in it, so maybe both. Somebody tell us if this is the hitting kids with rods. Is that the New Testament or Old Testament? Spare the rod, spoil the child. What verse is that? Proverbs.
Oh, I thought this was Psalms, but also starts with the P.
Yeah.
Proverbs, yeah. That's the Old Testament.
Wait, really? Let's make this sure. Let's make sure, because I want to make sure it'll be Proverbs. Second book of the third section of the
Like there's 27 books in the New Testament.
Beach is the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So it's still okay. Mosque is saying, meanwhile, 5-year-old Illinois boy's parents put him in cold shower, beat him to death. Prosecutors say. Sobham is saying, were they trying to prevent this kid from committing any sins, or did they punish their children? We don't know. Do you know? Spare the rod and spoil the child. Yeah. So everyone. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I think it's the Old Testament. It's basically a guide how to. So W Glass 90 is saying the Old Testament is basically a guide on how to be a terrorist. Actually, it's
well. It's to be a primitive Bronze Age person.
Right.
I would say it's not made for the modern age. We have progressed. We have advanced.
I mean, okay, but not. I mean, no religion is made for the modern age. But I guess
except Scientology.
I mean, it shouldn't have been made for the modern age. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a terrorist, because it's mostly the Old Testament is not very political. Actually, it has.
Well, it's
No, I mean the Old Testament is mostly political. If you have a Jewish nation, you know what I mean. It's not very. It's not
yeah,
telling. It's not telling other people how to be political. It's not like Islam where
yeah,
it's telling. It's not. It's
yeah.
not like
So
Islam where it says like dominate the entire fucking planet and
yes,
bring Islamic law everywhere. It's just like if
so Judaism is not a missionary religion, whereas Christianity and Islam are.
right.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
Christianity is the New Testament is not very political. It is a little bit political, but not very political. The Old Testament is political, but mostly for a Jewish nation.
What do you mean with political? Like it has lots of political implications.
But yeah, it has a lot of political implications. But I'm just
Because
comparing.
there's a coming kingdom. There's the kingdom of God will soon arrive. Give up your
No, yeah,
possessions.
but that's what I said. I said it's a bit political, but if you compare it to Islam, it's not very political, right? It is. It has a lot of political implications. I agree with that. There are specific verses that you could get a lot of political messages out of it. But if you just summarize Christianity to following the way of Jesus, and if you summarize Islam to following the way of Muhammad, Jesus
Mhm.
was a prophet that never got to rule, and
Yeah,
Muhammad was a prophet that ruled over a nation, right? So there's a
yeah,
lot more political conclusions that you could get out of Islam than
yes,
Christianity. Subham is saying following the Old Testament word by word will lead to prison sooner or later. Yeah, I agree with that.
oh yeah, I
Trying,
do.
trying to kill one's own son because of hearing voices in your head. Actually, it's worse than that because that specific rule to Abraham was only for Abraham, right? The specific rule to Abraham was like, "Hey, kill your son." No, no, it was a prank, bro. Like, don't kill your son, right? So that's not as bad as the actual commandment to everyone else, which it commands you to stone your own kids. Not even stop. It's not like stopping you last minute. No, don't stone them. This was just a test. The actual commandment is that if your kids are disrespectful to you, you should stone them to death. So that
Yeah,
Abraham story is not as bad as the actual commandment that is in there.
yeah.
All right. So I think that was our last news. Let us know what you think. After the live chat is over, go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel. We want to eventually one day. We're 11K right now. Our Facebook is really big, but our YouTube channel is not that big. If you could share our YouTube channel and ask people to subscribe to it, that would be very helpful. Anyways, love you, everyone. Sobhan is saying I agree. Thank you, everybody in the live chat. Jungle Jargon, Vanilla 240, Moose Gal, Beach, as always. We missed Christy today. Kaka, Sobham, Sydney, everyone else. Doorknob Head, love that name. Nightmare Fuel was here earlier. He left now. Daniel, Amir here. Hey, Amir. Yuval. Oh, Yuval has some comments as well. Old Testament is mostly narrations and prophecy. Rules are mostly in the first 5 books. Okay, great.
Hmm.
Also, Yuval is saying Old Testament is mostly. Oh, you said that. Okay. All right. Everybody else in the Facebook live chat. Love you all. Thank you for your comments. And see you again next week. Bye.